Tony Caravan. You've been subjected to a highly sophisticated form of propaganda.
It's just what you need, and not what you don't.
Good morning.
And good morning, Tony Caravan with you for yet another broadcast. I've got a wide angle lens. I'm trapped inside of this circle. I don't know. I thought I'd test this out. So it's going to, just have a little bit of distortion here, but I don't know. Why not? Try something new. Shows a little bit more of the room. You can't see my book as well, Codex back there, but what can one do about that? Not much. I don't know. Maybe I can grab it, bring it to the fore. Feel any better? Yeah, anyway, so here we go again. Another Tony Caravan Live. I've been getting a couple requests by people who weren't sure that these shirts exactly existed. This is the Then What with the question mark. Can't see it. It's hard with the lighting there. Or Then What? And then this is the classic. Everything you know is wrong. Of course, I've got another one I didn't get my copy of yet, but it's for sale. You don't know what you don't know. Oops, sorry about that. These are really good shirts, and it's hard to tell under this lighting, but I think on this, if you look see what's coming from this side, you see that material. This is the one I would get if I were you. It's like it almost looks like a leather, see that? Like a faded leathery look. But it's just I think it's like a coffee color or something like that. But yeah, it's real. Everything you know is wrong. So we tell the truth here. And, these things haven't really been selling, but they're great shirts, and I've got them. I wore them. Both of these shirts I've washed like numerous times, and you can see the way that thing's hanging. It's, they don't shrink or anything. They hold they hold themselves pretty good. So that said,
let's get this show on the road.
So yeah, it's Sunday morning for regular viewers, followers, whatever. I don't feel any worse, following the health story here. I'm going to keep this odd lens, even though it's it's kind of distorts things the way they do. But what the heck, I can't worry about the fact that a cartoons my face a little bit. But I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to tell. It's the thing about. I still felt weak and a little bit fatigued, and I still have some aches in my abdomen. My head was kind of a little weird. But I went down from 2 aspirins to 1 aspirin. I'm not drinking caffeine right now. I really feel like going in and grabbing a Diet Cola caffeine, that would wake me up. But I'm just trying to, I got back in that habit, and I'm just trying to kick that habit. So other than that, I made it to Sunday. Now I'm coughing. COVID. No. But like I said, at least the other day, I don't know what I've coughed from just now, but I haven't been coughing. I haven't had a fever. I really haven't had a headache. I haven't been nausea. had nausea, and my blood pressure and all that stuff has been fairly. Let's see here. Let me find it. We'll check it live on the air. Got one of these things. I mean, they're not 100% accurate, I guess, as going to the doctor. But I have found that they've been similar to what the doctor, that I've taken it before I went to the doctor, and that the results were similar than when they gave what they told me. It just takes like really seconds. I did this yesterday. My blood pressure's 95 over 61. My heart rate's 62. It's kind of low, but not for me. I normally have like low blood pressure. So, but believe it or not, 95 over 60, whatever. If you look at this chart, that falls in on the low side of what's considered ideal blood pressure. So, no fever, normal heart rate, blood pressure in the ideal range, a little bit on the lower side. It's better than having high blood pressure, but it's not low blood pressure. It's just on the low end of the ideal. And it's 4:35 a.m. So I guess one of the reasons I'm tired is I probably could have slept for another hour, but I tried falling back to sleep and I didn't. I went to bed at 7:00 last night. I was bored. It's because I got up the other day at 3-ish, 3:30 or something like that. So you know how you get into one of those habits. I'm going to somehow have to like try to force this back. But anyway, that's the update on health for those interested. I know there are some people that follow that kind of stuff.
Weekend weather.
As far as the weather around here in the mid-Atlantic states, right now outside my window, it's 39 degrees. Remember yesterday we had what was called a snow moon, a full moon. And so it's still, fairly big out there. We're supposed to get like 100% rain in these parts. And it's looking like it's going to be in the mid 40s mostly. And that's going to be it. It's going to drop into the high 30s and mid 40s for the next week. Nighttime lows are going to get anywhere, dip down into the high teens to the high 20s. So as far as, anything else, in your neck of the woods, you'll have to check with your meteorologist. So I think I covered all that stuff. And
Good morning.
have a good morning and goodbye. No. So the title of this on the title card is Then What? And that kind of goes with the shirt up there. Then what? And it's almost a continuation of a previous video, vlog, whatever. Yeah, I don't know if you could hear the cat in the background. Perfect timing. Doing the scratching in the litter box. That basically said like somebody didn't get the memo or something along those lines. I forget exactly how I worded it. And I just perused, and I don't normally do that because I've not only canceled my TV service, okay, but I've also have decided that I'm no longer I'm disinterested in the news, period. So I just don't want to, I don't want to follow it. So it bothers me very much so that you like this shirt, by the way. I've had this thing for years. It's a great, it's got all these things, where you could put pens and cigarette pack. I love double pocket shirts and stuff like that. It's like cargo pants in a shirt almost. It's pretty neat. I'm surprised it really lasted. It's a heavy material. Really lasted over the years. But the idea is that, the news I just glanced at. I have an Apple computer. All right. So they have like Apple News. It's like a news app. And I guess most people use it on your phone, but I'm using a desktop. So it's available on a desktop. I never look at it. I took it out of if you understand Apple computers, they have a thing called a dock. And it's like, this thing where your most frequent apps that you use or whatever, you put over there. And I took it out of it because I don't really, like I said, I'm anti-news at this juncture. Because no news is good news. Really, that statement seems to hold true right now. So anyway, I thought, all right, well, let me glance at it because it's a Sunday, and I'm like, apart from grabbing my shirts to show you guys that these things really exist, there's one, the everything is wrong and the what next, and I have a couple other ones upstairs. I was like, well, what am I going to talk about today when I was coming down? And I was hesitating, and I had some ideas last night. The night before, did you ever have one of those weird dreams where you figured out everything about everything, right? It's like, but then you wake up and then it's like, you can't remember a single thing, but you had like the whole universe figured out and all that stuff. I don't know. It's like when you really should have that microphone or some recording device by your bedside. But if you said something into it, it'd probably just be gibberish. But that's what I found myself in that situation today, not knowing everything, but basically knowing nothing. And so I just thought I'd glance at this news thing, which the last time I probably glanced at it was the time that I basically took it off of the dock. And I almost thought you can't delete. There's the way Apple computers and some of these big tech companies work is that you actually can't delete certain things. It's like, no, this is either one of our propaganda mechanisms, or this is some kind of thing. You can't get rid of that. You can get rid of other stuff, but you can't get rid of this. That's like Adobe software. Excuse me. I got rid of Adobe because they were extorting something like $54 a month from me, because it's all cloud now, even though I purchased software from them. I've said this before. I purchased software from them in the past and own it, had the box and everything. But once you switch to their cloud service, they constantly kind of upgrade everything and put some kind of little code line in there that makes it so that you can't open anything newer since that upgrade with the old, even though nothing's really changed, like the bug fix, so there'll be an update and it says this fixed the bug in, some ridiculous thing, in the GUI or something. But I mean, it had nothing to do with, the idea of opening a Photoshop file, or EPS file, But that's just their game. It's a game they play because everybody wants to cloud this, cloud that. It's amazing how fast the cloud has taken over. Did you notice that? And why is it that they wanted everything in the cloud? because that way it's open access by, the corporatocracy, big tech, the technocrats, the world, the puppeteers, of the world. They have everything. It lives in the cloud. So if it lives in the cloud, that means they have access to it. And then these companies like Apple, they say, oh, well, your phone is secure, right? And even for they won't even help people solve crimes. They'll say, because they won't let people crack open their phone or something like that. Excuse me. There's something itchy in my nose. I'm sorry. When you're on live, you just can't edit anything out. I mean, after the fact, I guess you go back and do it if you wanted to, but it's real. It's real TV. So, but see, no one ever, that's one of those other things that nobody ever thinks about. Like these companies, their PR, they've got it down so perfectly. And so they say these things and they just word it in such a way, and everyone likes, oh yeah, that makes sense. Okay, I get it. Yeah. Oh, Apple, iPhones really, that's secure. I mean, Apple's really cares about privacy. But the part they leave out is that all that information is in the cloud. And in order to get to the cloud, right, it has to pass through, all these devices, routers and, cell towers and all that stuff. And then people get these things, this VPN, that's like the new buzz now. Will the VPN, that was one of the things I saw on this news, when I was scanning the news thing, which I shouldn't have even bothered, and it was like, can VPN, hide you from some kind of thing or some kind of other bullshit, whatever it was. And the answer is really no. Though I know there's all these YouTubers out there pushing this stuff, because they make a commission on it or something. At least what you get from me is real stuff. Like I designed that T-shirt, I wrote my book, I came up with these slogans, I use them. I have everything is wrong. I have a song that corresponds with that. And of course, don't forget greatsolarstuff.com. And the next time there's a emergency, something like this might just, if not save your life, it'll be a lifeline for you. Put it that way. But yeah, these things don't, if you're a hacker and you understand how, the backbone, so to speak, of the internet works, it's not, it's not impenetrable. It's like, it's totally, there's so many ways of hacking and getting into things. And the people that make these things, they know that. And if somebody wants to get your data, they can get your data, I had somebody, mess with me just not too long ago, and I have a pretty secure system as far as I'm concerned. And they hacked into PayPal, and I guess the goofball was doing somebody from the complete other side of the country, because you get, some of the hackers are like junior hackers, they're not very well experienced. I'll tell you 2 hacker stories. I guess we'll just, this is how this whole thing starts, and we'll get into some. Well, most recently, some bozo hacked into one of my accounts, somehow monetary accounts, and had used three separate charges of $200 for some kind of bandwidth, some kind of service to do with bandwidth or something like that, was purchasing something. along the line, meaning this was somebody, either a gamer or somebody doing something that he had to, probably with the cell phone, I would imagine, in order to have to buy that time, so to speak, from some. And so that was 600 out of my account. And I knew where it was from. I was able to trace that to where it was from. But here's where the guy screwed up. So then after that, I guess he was feeling really confident. So he ordered a pizza from Domino's now that he found this thing that he could hack. And it was in the US. But, I had to go. It took me 6 weeks to get all that money returned, and then fees from the bank and all that kind of stuff. But I did it. But, like I say, and that's somebody like me who actually has a fairly decent understanding of code and how to set things up and how to, and what privacy really is. And then years ago, this is like years ago, I was hacked by someone who had, it was almost a scam hack, but it was, oh no, I know what it was. If you recall, if you watch these things regularly, I said I used to own about 60 domains. And this might have been 10 years ago. I was selling off some of my domains. And, I had success selling one or two domains. One domain, I sold the domain for a friend of mine for like 20 grand, I think. But that was his domain. But I was successfully selling some of my domains, but maybe $1,000 or a couple of $100 or whatever. But there were some names I just had since, bought early and, so, and in the long run, it was time to get rid of them, because what happens is, even though sometimes you'll look on these sites and it'll tell you the value of a domain, it looks like it's worth, a couple $1,000. You have to consider they're really only worth a couple $100. And if you hold on to them for 10 years or so like that, you pretty much spent that couple $100. So if you sell it, you're lucky if you break even. So if you're it's the domain buying and selling business isn't the way it was in 1999. People that bought domains back then, sold them for $1 million or more. But anyway, this was at a time when I was selling off some of these domains, and I just get tired of paying the money, because I reached that point. I'm going like, you know what? I'm never going to get this money back. So I'll sell them now, and I'll sell them at a reasonable price. Well, someone had somehow, through that selling process, and like I said, I'm kind of this is like a long time ago, and I'm trying to figure out what their scam or angle was, how they got money from me. But they were supposed to send me, they were going to buy this for X amount of money, but somehow that gave them access to my account or something like that. They I don't know. There was some piece of information or something that I was unwise, and and obviously I wouldn't disclose it to give somebody else the other idea how to do this. But it really got me, because especially at that time, I was like aggressively writing code and stuff. And I also pretty much had a handle on, getting anywhere on the web, like tracking down things. In fact, friends used to call me a lot or email me or whatever and say, hey, could you find out something about this or something about that? Because, things that they couldn't Google or whatever. And I had I just knew how to do that kind of stuff. And so once these guys ripped me off, and I don't know what it was, what they ripped me off for, but it was only in the hundreds of dollars. Okay. So I tracked them down, through various things. It's not just the IP address and all that stuff. That's why I say these VPN things, people don't understand. That just like protects you, at a certain level. It's not like you're watching these movies where they show like how people move and they say, okay, we can keep them on the line for another so many, seconds or minutes until we can find out that they're not in, Bangladesh or wherever, But I knew how to really track people down. And I tracked these people down into that it was coming from this particular place in Ukraine. And then I got into, again, without getting into this too intensely, I got into the ISP, like what they were accessing in order to get on the internet. And they thought they were really secure, but they weren't. I mean, but I was better. And so I tracked them down, broke through their, that what they thought they were protected by. And I got right to the building and the floor, like where they were in this place. And then I got a satellite. All right. And I got a satellite image, most recent satellite image, and closed in right on their building. Okay. Now, anybody could really do this if you know how to do it. I knew how to do this kind of stuff. So I found out. So I texted, or I guess I emailed them. I had the email that was associated with this account. So I emailed it, some woman in Ukraine, and I said, you just ripped me off, like for $400 or $500, whatever it was. I said, I want my money transferred back right now. And, and she like was trying to, she responded, that's the thing. I mean, cause that's the other temptation, when you're in that world, right? And she's like, no, you, this is, you're wrong. This is blah, 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 And I said, no, you don't understand. I sent her the picture of her building. I said, I know where you are. I know who you are. And if you don't return that money right now, you have no idea who you're messing with. I said, I'll have a strike team there within minutes. Right. The money was transferred within within 30, 45 seconds back into my account. End of story. Closed everything, erased everything. Boom, got myself. No way for her even to track down who the heck I was. And I'm sure, I shook that operation up, like scared the crap out of them. They probably closed shop and moved, But, and I don't even know if you could do that today, quite frankly. I mean, that was like about 15 years ago, and I don't know, things change, hacking changes. They got hacking conventions every year and stuff. So, but that was fun. I explained that to some people, they didn't know what I was talking about. I said, no, I tracked them down. I tracked them down to the exact building. I found out who the actual girl who was sitting at a terminal. I tracked her like super secret email, and then I got a satellite photo, public satellite image of the building, and basically said, yeah, I know where you are. I know who you are. I'm coming. I want that money transferred now. So she probably figured she messed with some like MI6 or Mossad or CIA guy or something, and she was scared. They were scared shitless. But that's what I'm saying. So with the VPN, if you're, and I don't mean to go against these companies or anything like that. And, 99.9% of the people aren't, those things will probably work. But I'm just saying that if a hacker's after you, you're screwed. You know what I mean? There's no protection. You have no protection. I'm talking to a lay person. And like I said, even a person like me who was fairly well protected, they still got in. It's just that it's just they messed with the wrong person and I was able to get, to go back. The average person would have no idea how to do that. And let alone, and then, basically play poker with them, threaten them. She could have said something like, forget it. Yeah, right. But I just happened to get the right person, do it the right way. And I guess I did it so fast and it was like overwhelming for me to have, found her email, listed her address, and then put a sat photo and then made this threat that, that was just like, we better like, close this stuff and run out of this building. Right. Because, that's what these kind of operations are. They go in there and they make a couple $1 million. They don't, it's doubtful they stay in one place for a long period of time anyway. But those are my two stories of people that, one successfully hacked me recently, but I tracked them down. I could have since the idiot ordered a pizza, the most recent one, I could have gotten the FBI on them and all that stuff, but I didn't. I basically got my money refunded through the party that they used, through the third party. And then there were some bank fees that I incurred that was even harder to get back, but I got it all back eventually. Basically it was a hassle. So, but a VPN wouldn't have helped that either. See, this whole thing started because I was talking about the cloud. So anyway, everyone has seen this Then What shirt now. You got that? You gotta bring it a little closer. It's a really neat font. If you got to see it close up, you can see that font like stands out almost. But this isn't raised print. This is printed, so you can wash this thing for a long, long time. That tiny print down there is just rock flux, just our little logo. You can barely see it. Then what? And the whole idea with that, because I'm going to get rid of this thing, this funky. It's actually bothering me. I had to tape it on. I think I told you the story about the last time I taped something on there. I mean, you can almost see the shirt. Yeah. Now you can't see my book though. Codex. The last time I taped something on there, I was just using duct tape. And this is the device. See, it's a lens that you watch. You see how the clip there? And you clip it. But on this particular monitor, this overpriced, expensive monitor, there's not a lot. It's not meant for something like that. And check this out just for the hell of it. I've got a telephoto version of this. If you look closely on this too, watch. See. I don't know if you can see that. It clicks. There's like a bolt on there that you can tighten. But it's a telephoto lens. And what this thing allows you to do is you put this on your iPhone, or your smartphone camera. You clip the back part here to your phone. You just buy these things on the internet. And I've gotten some really, like, in my garden, because I'll be doing that stuff later this, when the weather turns. But I've gotten like close up of bees on flowers, and I have a bird feeder. Birds are paranoid, so it's like, you get real close up onto a bird from being 40 feet away or something like that. And I used to have like birds and chipmunks and a rabbit and various things that hung out in my yard. So I used to just take some videos of them. There's a video up there on my web. If you go to my YouTube channel, Rockflux, there's one that says critters, and there's like a slow motion version of me feeding a chipmunk pretty close up. I don't think I was even how to use that one for that. But yeah, this is much more natural and feels better. So, and while you Walmart, major savings ahead, rollbacks. It really just bothers me, this way that they, everyone knows about, anything you search for, obviously it's going to appear up in an ad, because that's what it's all about. That's big data. But there's still that mystery thing that you could be talking to your friend on the phone about something, and then you find up and both of you end up getting like sponsored ads for that, or on your recommended, if you're a YouTuber, on that list, the thing at the top of the screen, if I watch through a TV and at the top it's like the line is recommended, that you'll get the thing you talked about, a recommended video about it. And the way it crosses platforms or whatever. So, if you were by I don't know, just give it an acne, say you want an acne medicine or something, you would find that there'd be on YouTube, you'd have a YouTube video in your recommended list, later that day about acne or something, about, how to solve acne or something. I mean, I'm just using that as an example. I mean, I'm trying to think of some of the actual things that have occurred. But you know what I'm talking about. And, but the worst one is that, you're just taking a shower or something, and you're thinking about, like you've been thinking about something's on your mind. Now that's the one that's freaky. And I talked to a lot of different people about that. And, that could well be a coincidence, paranoia coincidence. But it just seems like too widespread to be that, But, I have no way of, it's like, there's no way of proving that, that's like, the idea that they could be getting into your brain waves and already reading your minds. But I mean, there's patents and stuff on all that stuff, for doing that. And I mean, it goes back to MK Ultra mind control and all that kind of stuff. I mean, if they were doing that 60 years ago, and you consider the exponential growth of things like chips and the shrinking of memory and the power of processing power and all this kind of nonsense, that, it's not that far-fetched. The human brain is based on a brain wave, right? Everything is a wave. It's pretty much, if you have even a rudimentary understanding of physics, everything is somehow a wave. Sound is a wave, light is a wave. It's all a wave. you know, I mean, you could get down into particles and photons and all this kind of crazy stuff. But I mean, the idea is that your brain is this bioelectric, um, you know, computer. And, you know, no one understands consciousness, like how the me, you know, how I think of myself in the first person, right? You know, what that level of consciousness. That's my book opens up with that. And it's pretty much written with that in mind to address that in different ways. You know, the hard problem of consciousness, it's called. There's a guy named Chalmers who coined that word, that phrase, the hard problem of consciousness. But I deal with that, and I also just deal with a lot of, I don't know. It's a worthwhile read. It's not that long, and it's interesting, and there's some autobiographical stuff in there, and it's just kind of, I don't know. You know, if you're, it's worth it. You know, I wouldn't have done it if I didn't think it was worthwhile, and I wouldn't offer it for sale if I didn't think it had, you know, would be something that somebody could, you know, enjoy, or it would be thought provoking. It's thought provoking, you know, just makes you think about things. But you know, that so when you talk about the brain being a bioelectric, you know, computer, and I've gotten into this before, and I get into it in the book, and I get into it in one of my earlier books too. It's a recurring theme. There might even be an essay somewhere floating around in the internet somewhere on this, when I used to do a lot of that. I don't do that anymore. See, since I've been doing these live shows, I haven't really been writing songs or writing essays or books. You know, I just been creating the t-shirts, you know, and pushing the things that I think are important for you, and then talking about them. And it's like, you know, it's a creative outlet. So it's replacing, it's, you know, if you're the type of person, I mean, I can't speak for anybody, you know, everybody who has some kind of creative impulse. But for me, at least, I do have this thing, which, you know, I would call a creative impulse. And that is the idea that I like to create things. I don't care what it is. Even if I'm just in the backyard, you know, messing with my garden and, you know, tweaking and building a mini greenhouse, or fixing a door, or doing some kind of weird thing. But once the creative impulse is fulfilled, you know, that gives you a sense of satisfaction. I watch these videos myself back. You know, initially, the first time I did it, I just did it, you know, to make sure the audio quality was all right and everything. But then I found myself getting into it as not so much watching myself, but watching it probably the way you would. You know, in other words, as the person on the screen being a character, you know, that's, you know, and it has something to say, and I'm listening to it. And so I am fascinated by my own, you know, thought process. And it's the same with my books, and why I listen to my own, why I write music and listen to my own music. I mean, you see these actors and interviews and stuff sometimes, and they'll say, I never watch my own movies, or I never watch movies I'm in, or I don't watch these shows, or I don't do that and stuff. And I always find that kind of puzzling, in a sense that, I mean, I guess if you're doing so much, you know, if you're doing 3 movies a year or something ridiculous like that, you know. But for me, it's part of what I do is for myself. It's a creative process, this impulse to create. And it's that idea of stepping back and admiring it, you know? And so it doesn't matter what it is. If it's actual something that would be considered the arts, you know, so something in music, for example, I enjoy listening to it. I don't avoid listening to my own music. I like it. If it's an architectural thing that I built in my yard, a pergola for my grapevine, or this mini greenhouse that's like about the size of the TARDIS, if you understand, the sci-fi fans. I enjoy looking at it, and I spend time, and that's kind of what I do in the summertime, particularly in the yard and garden and stuff like that. Is that when I'm not physically doing work out there, like tending to the garden and the things that have to be tended to, I'm, and it's a sunny day, I'm in a lounge chair listening to music, and I'm observing, and I'm looking, and then I see something, and then I go to it, and and make an improvement on it, or make a notation to improve that I want to do that. What that needs is that I got to do that. I should do that. That thing shouldn't be there. I need to do this way. So it's not only an appreciation of the thing that you've created, but it's an ongoing thing. And so it's the same with the music. You just keep listening to it. And like I said, I read my own work, and I wear my own shirts. And so, that's just how it is. And I know there's a lot of other people like that. I mean, a lot of people enjoy their own art. I mean, especially in the early days when I was in New York and I used to know a lot of artists, their apartments were filled with mostly their art hung on their walls. And, and maybe some art from some other, friends, other fellow artists or whatever. I mean, it's just the way it was, so I don't know. That's just a little quick aside. I forget how I got to that point exactly, but I think somewhere down the line, this whole thing started with the news and the idea of then what, as a follow-up to a previous video that was that they mustn't have gotten the memo or something along those lines. And so in keeping, in trying to keep this somewhat circular and sensible, let's finish up with that. So, when politics has become pop culture, when I looked at that news thing today to peruse, to maybe get an idea, because I was, just to see if, just, I don't know why I did it. I almost feel bad, admitting to you that I actually clicked on the news app, because I'm such a anti-news person. News business, news industry person, anti-news industry. But, I guess you have, every now and then you have to, you can't say a thing or stand for a thing unless you at least are aware that the thing has not changed. I could have opened that app and there could have been all kinds of stories on there, and I could have been taken back and said, hey, this stuff they're actually, looks like they're writing the news again. And that was that idea. And that's what I was kind of hoping, because that's the idea of that. Didn't they get the memo? In other words, the people who are in charge now, and don't take this politically, but it's hard to talk about anything today because everything is politics, which is so boring, sickening, and it's disgusting and horrific. All right. But nonetheless, you go on there and you're hoping, and you're thinking, hey, you won the election. Like, the election's over, right? Everything leading up to the election is political rhetoric, dirty politics, right? The tricksters, the PR guys, right? I mean, this has been going on for from the beginning of time, right? The whole idea of creating scandals and all this kind of stuff, that's just like political tricks and stuff. And what used to happen until like recently, literally until like the last decade or two, is that the moment the election was over, it was over. People realize, oh yeah, that was a political stunt, and so much for that, and let's move on. Okay. And then 4 years later, 6 years later, 8 years later, whatever the person was running office was being was up for grabs, then it would start again the year or so right before it. But in that interim, you were free, so news was something that really happened, like a volcano erupted somewhere here, or this is happening in this place, and such and such, there. It wasn't politics, it was news, it was world news, it was local news, it was domestic news, it was things that affected your life or that you might have an interest in. All right. And of course, someone, arguably today, it seems everyone has an interest in politics. Now, why? They don't know. Do you know? It doesn't affect your life. I've been through that in several videos. No politician is changing your individual life. You're saying, well, my taxes will go up, or, that $1,400 will come in handy. Well, yeah, that's true. That's true. But it's not going to affect your overall life in general. These are momentary things. Yeah. Okay. You get $1,400. Guess what? You pay off that credit card bill, or you go buy that thing you wanted to buy. There's a couple things I would buy when I with that $1,400. The tax thing, you're just going to have to figure out, if you're worried about your taxes going up, you just got to figure out a way to do what everybody else does, is come up with the tax break, some kind of write-off or whatever, which are so easy to do. Use one of those online services. They walk you through. Just keep putting the numbers in until you find out where, what it is. I mean, there are so many tax things, because they make the tax law is written for corporations so that corporations don't have to pay tax. Like, they make it a big deal when they say some highfalutin politician didn't pay taxes. So, whatever. But they don't understand is that no highfalutin politician, CEO, or Wall Streeter pays taxes. They're all those things. The lobbyists put those in there, including the politicians themselves, who are all multimillionaires, by the way. They pass all these laws, these bills, that end up in the tax code, so to speak, so that they have all these loopholes and all these deductions and all these things. And so what you have to do is, that's why I always try to tell people, you got to understand the game. This is a game, and you have to understand the game. And so if they're going to play by a certain set of rules, you need to understand those rules, and then you need to play by those rules. And it's no different than me even, back-hacking, that person in Ukraine. It's like, if you're going to, you're going to play that game with me, I'm going to play that game with you. And but this is back to politics. So I don't care what it is, what you think. I mean, yeah. And, so they can't eat you. So there used to be a sign in some graphic shop I took a job with. I went to work one day, and I noticed up in the ceiling, high up in the ceiling, someone had posted a sign: "They can't eat you." And I've told that story many times to people in different places along the way, because this was quite a while back. when people would be like, something was bothering them, this was that, or something was going on, or they're going to get chewed out by their boss or something like this. I'm going, they can't eat you. It's not like, it's not like you're out in the Serengeti and you're a gazelle and some lion is going to, eat you alive. Right. So that's the same whole idea about don't worry about a thing way in advance. If you've got a problem or something, coming up, why stress yourself out on it, weeks in advance or days in advance, or even have the day before ruined before the thing, whatever, So that's keep that in mind. So no matter what comes down, you're free. You're free and in control of your life. There are certain little things they can do, little buttons they can push, little, certain things they could try to guide you through a certain little maze that they may have created or something. But, you just have to understand the rules of the game, understand the game, and figure that, and play by those rules, but take advantage of those rules the way they take advantage of those rules as well. But getting back to this, they didn't get the memo, is that what I see going on right now is I just see a lot of politics as pop culture and a lot of psychotic people that are caught up in are still living as if they're still in election mode, pre-election mode. And my thing is hey, the election's over, you won. Okay, then you get the memo. So all that stuff, you didn't actually believe all that nonsense. That was just political tricksters. That was just the usual political nonsense, scams, accusation, all that stuff that comes out before the elections. And you guys are still riding that instead of just doing your job, just work. I saw a meme the other day of someone said, let's go, bomb, choice, go bomb Syria and get a bunch of people pissed off at us, or give the American people $1,400, and it shows them pushing the button to bomb. It's get the memo. And the other one that follows up with that is then what, which is the shirt. People, they'll say, especially the people with the cardboard signs and magic marker slogans on them, right? Protesting is such an exercise in futility. It really is. What a waste of time. People have nothing better to do with their lives. They never accomplish anything at all. All they do is give the news industry free content so the news industry can make more money selling commercials. You know what I mean? It's content. They're providing content for commercial entities that are part of the corporatocracy that are screwing you over, and that the people holding up the signs don't realize they're just cattle and consumers on their tax farm, right? They just don't get it. So when I see somebody saying, we need this now, we need this, and that's what that shirt is. Then what? And, I have a song, it's not a great song, but I mean, poetically, I guess, it's never enough, because that's the natural follow-up to then what? Because it's endless, And, so that's these things I like to put up, the thought-provoking ideas. You don't know what you don't know, and let somebody ponder on that shirt, while you're social distancing somewhere, and let someone see that. You don't know what you don't know. I mean, that is our society today. That just puts it all. And the then what is a classic too. Someone look at that and let them see if they're a little, whatever is going on in the brains of these people. right? It's like they didn't get the memo. They don't, it's like this endless thing. So I don't know. For me, it's this is just a run of the mill, checking in video. Just covered, nothing. Update on me. I'm still alive. Don't forget, check out great solar stuff. I feel like one of these old television shows from the 60s, where they had their product there. But hey, get one of these things. Come in handy for storms, power outages, whatever. Buy my shirts, buy my book, particularly, this one's, like I say, this one's a good one too. I wear this one a lot. Everything you know is wrong. And you don't know what you don't know. Anyway, so that's about it.
Good morning.
Have a great day. And thanks for watching. I know they're blocking these things, but we do get some views here and there. Check out my site, Tony Caravan Live. I'll put it on here. I'll put it in the description later. But yeah, listen to my music. It tells the story. The books tell the story. And tomorrow I'll be back. Monday. It's the first tomorrow. Today's the 28th. So it's the last day of February. This was not a leap year. So tomorrow's the 1st of March. Spring's not too far ahead. And I tell you what, I just can't wait. So until then, cheers, good luck, peace, take care.